Ooh. We're live. 2 minutes early. I always try to be early to work too. Everyone hear me? I'm going to wait for the comment section. If you can hear me. I have some throat lozenges. Hope that doesn't bother anybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Just waiting for the chat to say all is going good. I got a new internet connection also, so hopefully it's coming in clearer than it was last time. I'm going to move my camera slightly. I can hear you. Okay, good. Fantastic. Hearing my wonderful voice. I hope the light's not bothering anyone on my little award here. I got a comment saying that, hey, you need to change your setup, but not going to be doing that anytime soon. This room is really small that I'm in. I can actually touch the wall, so I don't know how far it looks, but I can almost touch the wall behind me too. So first thing, how many people do we have on the live stream? It's just, we have about 100. That's really cool. So first thing I want to say, and I'll mention it again during the live stream, which hopefully will go over an hour, is at 8 o'clock Pacific time, which would be 2 hours from now, there's going to be a post that goes live that Western States is doing a giveaway again. And there's going to be 5 different prizes. The top prize is much better, in my opinion, than all the other prizes, though. The top prize is a Carhartt, and this is stitch embroidered. That's not a sticker. It's a Carhartt stitch embroidered jacket. So watch for the post, and it'll tell you how to win that. So hopefully you guys, one of you will win it, hopefully. Okay, so let's start answering some questions from the chat here. And I've got super chat on and all sorts of other stuff. I don't know how it works. I believe if someone does a super chat, though, which I believe is a paid chat, it'll go to the top. But anyway, so let's read some of our comments here. JP's Garage, C7 swap to a 3126. Any thoughts? I don't know what I would think about that. They're very similar engines. I prefer the 3126 just because I like the Huey system on those a little better than the C7. Let's go down here. Recently was in Freightliner that had a DD15. Oh, well, that sucks. Fuel pump went out. Truck had 670,000 miles on it. If I start my own fleet, should I check? What should I check at 650,000? There's actually a DD15 in our shop right now. Someone changed the fuel filters on it. And from my understanding, I'm not an expert on these, they need to be pressure primed. You don't want to put dry filters on and not prime the system because the fuel pump's an aluminum housing. This is from my understanding. It'll destroy that fuel pump. Very expensive repair. Let's see. Oh, we got a scammer already. Going to hide user from channel. Fantastic. All right. Have a weird sound coming from the fuel primer on a C15. Change one valve. Could it be the other valve? On a fuel primer? There's no, well, there is a check valve in the, are you talking about the hand priming pump? If there is, you can just change the whole hand priming pump. There's also a check valve, pressure relief valve in the filter housing. Do you ever see Jeff from J Paydirt? No, I've never met him personally. We email chatted a while ago when he did that C15 retrofit where he converted it from a compound turbo setup to a single turbo. I believe he used a switchblade turbo. He does live in Idaho. I live in Idaho, but it's a very big state, and he is not within walking distance of me. He's almost not even within driving distance of me. He's pretty far from me. Josh, give me a wrench moderator. Man versus road. I wonder if I should do moderators. I haven't done that before. It's only my second real live stream, so bear with me there. All right, let's find a good question. How do you pre-fill the oil filter on a regular C15 PM? Well, if you want to, I don't pre-fill fuel or oil filters generally. You don't need to. If the engine was just running, you can spin a dry filter on. CAT doesn't tell you need to pre-lube it anyway. If you are going to pre-fill a filter, I usually recommend you're going to pre-fill it from the smaller holes, which is harder, but that's the dirty side of the filter. Now you might be thinking, I'm putting clean oil in. Yes, you are. But if you're going to do that, try to pre-fill it from the outer holes. That way, if there is some weird contaminant in the oil, it's going to get trapped in the filter element and not get into your bearings. Okay, let's see. JP's Garage. I did a C7 to 3126 swap and a M2. Can't get Transitel ECM. It's in Park. Oh, that's a tough question. That's not really a live stream style question. You might want to email me on that. adeptape@yahoo.com. That's also my PayPal address. But any real like super technical questions, obviously I don't want to discuss one question for like 30 minutes on a live stream. I'm going to try and hit quick questions here. So please email me at that. And I do answer all my emails. It just sometimes I get a little behind. I think I'm like a week behind right now. So super thankful. Oh, what's this? To your channel. Come here. Let's see. I'm reading Joshua Huck. Hey, Adept Ape. Super thankful for your channel. I have a 93 Thomas bus with a 3116. I actually worked on one of those about 2 weeks ago. It's got 177 miles on the odometer. Anything I should anticipate as before I take a road trip in it? Well, I mean, you're talking about a 30-year-old engine here. That doesn't mean it's unreliable, though. Very simple engine outside of the fuel system on a 3116. So biggest things to check for, of course, normal stuff. How's your oil look? Does it have a lot of blow by? Any big oil leaks? How's your coolant look? The biggest problem on those usually is you start getting combustion gases into your fuel system, which if that starts happening, they can be hard starting. They'll smoke, they'll miss. If you start getting that, then it might be a nightmare. But if it's not doing any of that, there's not a lot you can do outside of just normal maintenance stuff. So let's scroll down. What do we got? There's a flash file for 6NZ more than 550. 6NZ, no. 550 is, from my understanding, the highest horsepower you can get with a 6NZ. You would have to do something outside of cap parameters to go higher than that, like a C16 file or something like that. I don't recommend it. Lots of people do it, though. Hey, Mark. Mark, my he comments all the time. Oil leaks mean free oil changes and rust prevention. It's a win in my books. I hate working on oily engines, but of course, that's all I do. Hi, Josh, says Tessa. Hello. If you being a mechanic, curious what you would have as a daily driver. I'm a millwright, drive a 90 Cummins and the wife's 97 Power Stroke, and she has more diesel than me. Well, I'm still riding my bike to work, believe it or not. Hey, I got $1 from Emmanuel. Thank you, Emmanuel. My first live stream dollar. Guess we'll be eating Thanksgiving tomorrow. Demo Turds. Can I get a shout out? Shout out to Demo Turds. I'm currently riding my bicycle still to work, and might be thinking, don't you live in Idaho? Doesn't it have like winter there? Yes, it's not very far from where I live, and I actually have studded bike tires, and so far it's been interesting. There was about 3 inches of snow on the ground, a bunch of ice this morning, but with studded tires, haven't had any problems. We still do have a reliable vehicle. I've never actually owned a Cummins, or I've never owned a diesel engine actually. As a driver, I don't tow or anything, so I don't really need a really heavy duty truck. If I did tow or needed a trailer or something, I would probably go with an older Cummins myself. Or maybe I'd do something crazy like put a 3126 in a F350 or something like that. What do we get? Can you delete IVAs? Asks Man versus Road. You shouldn't. So IVAs or VVAs, intake valve actuators, or variable valve actuators, same thing. They are kind of like a get around for EGR systems on engines. So you wouldn't want to delete them because that would technically be tampering with emissions. People do delete them though. And usually they do that by getting some sort of hacked software because they're ECM controlled. The problem is they're electronic, also engine oil, so hydraulic and mechanical. They're kind of like a Jake brake for the intake valves. So even if you bypass them out of the ECM, you have to mechanically remove them, but they're part of the Jake housings unless you have a BXS serial number. So it's tricky to do. People do it though. They are problem prone. Lucky says, still ride a bike? Yes, I do. I actually got another electric bike I'll be doing a video on. A short video. It won't take place of my normal videos, so don't worry about that. Nick's here from Las Vegas. Hello, Nick. I've met him in person, actually. See, love your work. Thank you, Ali. It looks like Mark Davis. Hi, Josh. Really like your channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching. You ever get nervous on the first startup after an engine rebuild? I still get super nervous on even like a cylinder head. Every engine I've ever built, I still get nervous. I'm probably less nervous than on like the first engine I ever built. But yes, I don't, if you aren't nervous after you just put 400 bolts and bearings and all this stuff into an engine that has a lot of pressure under it, maybe you're in the wrong line of work, or maybe you're flat rate. Manual, $5. Look at that. Man, big fan of Adept Ape. What do you think of KCB model C13? I want to get Jake's installed. How easy? What do you think it will cost? Well, since he gave me $5, I'm going to answer that question. So what do I think of a KCB? That is actually my favorite CAD engine. It's a C13. There's a variety of reasons why it's my favorite. It is, for one, it's the first CAD engine I ever built myself. It was in a Van Hool tour bus, so look those up. That was quite the learning experience. I like them a lot, so for a variety of reasons. They are pushrod engines, so you don't have to mess with the cam gear backlash or anything when you're doing a rebuild. You don't have to worry about liner protrusion. You kind of do, but unlike a C15 where the liners will sink into the block, C13s, they don't seem to do that. They could potentially sink into the block. I've never seen that though. Unfortunately, if they do, the block or the liner is garbage at that point. I've never seen it happen though. So yes, they can get jakes. The jakes on a C13 would be part of the VVA housing. So if your truck or RV, whatever it is, doesn't have jakes, you'd have to get the VVA/jake housings. Your wiring harness, your under the valve cover wiring harness may have to be changed if it doesn't have jake inputs for it. And you'd probably have to do some ECM programming. It may already be programmed for jakes. And of course, you'd also need a wiring diagram because you have to run switches to the cab for your two inputs for the jakes. So it can be done. The cost, it's really hard to say. The jake housings are very expensive. I think the last time I priced them about $1,200 each, and you need 3 of them. So you'd be looking about $3,600 in labor, unless you can get used ones, which would be totally fine if you can clean them out. And then it'd be a lot of custom wiring and stuff, running the switches and stuff. If that's something you're not capable with, send me an email. I could send you like a wiring diagram if it's something you want to tackle yourself. Gustavo, send me $2. Thank you. Look at that. Oh my goodness, $14. Canadian though. I don't know what that translates to. A lot of maple syrup, I guess. Thank you very much. That's from Anchorman. Anchorman. Is that a what is the picture of that guy? What do we got here? Lincoln says, watching from Dubai. Oh my goodness. Didn't think Lincoln would be a very popular name in Dubai, but does the D-rate on a Caterpillar affect the signal on the hydraulic pump motor shifter? Does it only affect the engine performance? That sounds like an equipment question. So a D-rate will affect your horsepower, definitely. I don't know how much it affects the transmission, though. Gustavo sent me money. He has C15 sputter under heavy load. Gustavo, that's a hard question to answer here because I've got there's a ton of things. So biggest things to check. So a stutter under load can be, first thing I always check for, check engine lights. It could be timing related, whatever. Fuel pressure, check your fuel pressure. If you don't have a gauge, you can buy a fuel pressure gauge for about $100 on Amazon with a CompuCheck fitting. Verify what the fuel pressure is under load, not just at idle. Best things to check initially. If those are okay, then you're probably going to have to hook up to an ECM with CAD ET. So someone asked, first off, Joshua, thank you for $1. J-Dub, $5. What up? What is the best diagnostic for CAT for a semi? CAD ET is by far the best that I know of. I've never used a scanner that's not ET that works well. I've got a launch scanner that I was given, and it doesn't work. Someone used Silverleaf once. It can read code and stuff. I've just never been real. I've never been real impressed with anything that's not CAD ET for a CAD engine. There might be something out there. If there is, I wish someone would send me a link that something's working better. Mark bought a bike. Someday I'll be healthy enough to commute. Hey, Cool, Mark. Thanks for the $5 too. My old 2500 Cummins, Money Pit. Not recommend. I secretly want a Prius. I mean, Prius, they get really good fuel economy. I don't really like that they have a huge battery and an engine though. I don't know. It seems like an interesting compromise. Trevor, hi, hello. The bearded ginger on the internet. Can you rebuild a C15 with C16 pistons and liners and timing? Heard that the block is the same, but the liners are just thinner in the C16. So here's my synopsis with that. So yes, a C15 is a 5.4-inch bore, 3400 series engine. C16 is a 5.7-inch bore, 3400 series engine. So yes, you theoretically could put those liners in. You might want to check, though. I have a video talking about the distinct differences between C16 and C15. I don't remember if the stroke at all is different. I don't remember off the top of my head. I do know someone was doing a rebuild recently, and I cut counterbores for them, and they got a C16 kit, and that thing would not start. So theoretically, the liners will fit, but I'm not sure if the crank is the same. I believe the head's the same, all that injectors and stuff. But hey, happy Thanksgiving. What do we got? Daniel. Daniel, $5. Thank you very much. Love the channel. I got a single turbo NXS with 18-1 compression. What's the highest safe horsepower setting it can use? Got a scammer. We're going to hide. Love the channel. I got a single turbo NXS. What's the highest safe horsepower setting it can use? I have a hard time answering horsepower questions. I don't build aftermarket part like high horsepower engines. And NXS, I mean, they can go to 625 with standard, well, not standard cat sport, the heavy hull setting, NXS. So I'd say 625 should be a safe number if you're using higher horsepower parts and components. So you should be fine there. Of course, this is an opinion, folks. It's not, I don't know, it might make 1 horsepower and explode, but I would say since 625 is the max cat would get out of those blocks, you should be safe with that, would be my guess. Art Lopez, have you ever heard or used diesel laptops? I've heard of them. Yes, they reached out to me 8 months ago, and we kind of started emailing back and forth, and then it just fell apart. I don't know why. I've heard of them. I know people that have used them, and they've hit. They say they work, and I don't know what you can do with them, what you can't do with them. I've never used them myself, but I have heard of them. Ever rebuilt a 5.9 12 valve Cummins? No, I've done a couple heads on Cummins. I did a big cam Cummins once where I think we did 1 cylinder pack and a head. I'm not a fan. I think it's just, I'm just not familiar with it. If you could put a cat into a pickup, what would you use? Hey, thank you, AO, for the $2. If I could put a cat into a pickup, what would you use? Well, probably 3126. Probably 3 options. Since it's a pickup, you're not going to be putting a C15 in there. Probably a 3126. I like those. They're not real big. They're not super heavy. They're very reliable, simple engines. At least I think they're simple. 3306. It's a 10 liter, so it's pretty big, but it's a tall engine. Or C9. C9s are nice because they're Huey, so they're simple fuel systems, and they have liners, but they're kind of a weird engine. You don't see them a lot. Rohan gave me $2. Can any MXS go to 625 or the injector differ? So no, there's on any of the cert engines, so we're talking BXS, NXS, or MXS serial number, there's 2 tiers basically. There's like 435 to 550, and pretty much those anywhere can go between there without changing parts, from my understanding. Then there's a 600 and 625 tier, and those have like different turbos, camshafts, injectors. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So no, you can't just tune it with a 625 with the same injectors if it was just like a 475. Joshua, $5, sweet. 3116 question: is the white smoke after cold start normal? Yes, white smoke. Cold is subjective, but if it's 30 degrees outside, you have a 30-year-old diesel engine, mechanical engine, you're probably going to get a little bit of white smoke. Look for weird symptoms though. If it goes away pretty quickly, I wouldn't be too concerned. Is it, pushing coolant, losing coolant, something like that? I would I'd be a little leery then. Rusty Nail, 10 bucks. Enjoy watching the videos you make and learn. Thanks. Full of knowledge. Thank you, Rusty. How can I copy a flash file? Well, you don't copy flash files. You copy configurations. A flash file, you usually download it from sys, or you can get it with a CD. Well, they used to give CDs with flash files. I don't know if they still do, but the flash file is like the programming saying, because an ECM comes in a box, it doesn't know what it goes in. It could probably go in 100 different things. You put a flash file in it, that tells it, you are now AC-15, or you are now an excavator. So that's what the flash file is. The copy config is for the configuration, which is like speed limit and your timing and your injectors, that type of stuff. Let's see. Gustavo, hey, thank you. Thank you. Just dropping by to say hi, says Greg. Greg always comments. Hello, Greg. Is there a diner at your repair shop? Says Mary Saint Amour. No. My old dealership, there was a chassis dyno there. It was a water style dyno. You know, it's funny. John Shannon, my goodness, I need a whistle or something. $20. Thank you very much. So, has anyone heard Cashman Equipment? Obviously, some of you have heard of it, but I guess they got bought out. There's going to be no more Cashman Equipment after this year, which is pretty sad. I'm thinking about doing a video on it because that's where I started, but apparently Empire bought them. Rumor has it something to do with the owner, her age or something. I don't know the specifics, but I've only heard of it. Josh, what are your thoughts on biodiesel? Biodiesel. I've heard it's bad for injectors. Of course, I'm sure there's a huge rabbit hole you could go down when it comes to biodiesel. Personally, I've never really experimented with it or anything. From what I've heard, it can damage injectors sometimes. I think the idea is kind of cool. Like if you could take vegetable oil and make diesel out of it. I wonder if sometimes it's not filtered properly. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the oils you're mixing not appropriate. I'm not very familiar with the subject. Sorry, I wish I could answer that better, Joshua. Lee says, love watching your videos. Thank you. Lucky Bullet. Empire Southwest. Yeah. I don't know why they couldn't have just kept it Cashman. Whatever. I'm not a fan of my 3116 and my Kodiak. How different is it from a 3126? So a 3116 and a 3126, basically the block is the same. The heads are different because the fuel systems are different. So 3116 is going to be a mechanical unit injector setup, and the 3126 is going to be electronic HUI system. So you could swap them. They'll physically fit and use like the same motor mounts, but you would have to wire in a throttle position sensor. You'd have to make a harness going to the ECM with like brake inputs, and you could have cruise control and a whole bunch of other nice stuff, but you would have to make a harness. I would say probably better to recommend upgrading to a 3126. It would be an upgrade in my opinion. If you don't like your 3116, it would be a pain initially, but once it's done, you'd have a lot more access to parts and engines. It makes a lot. It can make a lot more horsepower too. You ever worked on a marine Caterpillar engine? Kind of. When I was at Cashman Equipment, we had two old. I used to work with this guy named Jim, and on the power generation side, and he had two very old 3208 marine engines. They were painted white and everything, but they were, my goodness. He did a rebuild on them, which of course they don't have liners, but I think he had them sleeved or something. This was a while ago. And he put them together, and I was kind of helping him, but I did not know engines that well, but I haven't really touched any marine applications since. Do you watch Weston Champlin? His videos have been in my feed, but I don't really watch a lot of other diesel videos. I spend so much time per week actually editing and making videos. If I could tell you like a 10-minute video, it takes 10 minutes to watch it. It probably takes, if you count like edit time and thumbnail time, and maybe 10 hours of work. So I don't have a lot of free time to watch other diesel videos. It would benefit me if I did, but I don't. Maybe one day I will catch an occasional DBoss garage video, or if something comes up that piques my interest, but generally I don't watch most of the other channels. Do I need thermostats if my C7 won't stay over 180? So if your engine's never getting hot, then potentially, yes, you may need thermostats. CAT actually recommends thermostat replacements every 2 years, which is surprising to me, but that's what they recommend. Gregory says, love your channel, C7. Thank you. My field of view is very small on this camera. Do I need thermostats? Oh, I just answered that question. All right. Garland says, I have a, and if you're wondering why I'm not always looking at the camera, I'm looking at the chat, which is kind of behind the camera. I have a C15 Assert, losing power in 9th and 10th gear. Starting to be hard to start in the mornings. Check engine light comes on and goes off. Code 34. I don't have the blink codes memorized. You should email me about that. David from Mexico. Hey, David. That could be a complex subject. So if it's harder starting, that could be fuel pressure related. First thing I always ask is, have you measured fuel pressure? Have you measured it while it's low on power? Do you have any check in? Well, you say you have a check engine light, so we'll need to find out what that is. I'd recommend emailing me, adeptape@yahoo.com. Hey, Josh. Grizzly Bear, I emailed a question about my 1mm VIN C16. Look forward to your reply. Alrighty. Thank you, Grizzly Bear. Like I said, I'm about a week behind on emails, but I might go tomorrow morning since I don't have to work. Well, I'll actually be editing a video that's coming out on Friday, but I'm going to try and catch up on emails. And if your email is Grizzly Bear, I'll look for it specifically. Manual, going back to my Jake install question, I know you may be biased, but should I have Kenworth install them or Michigan Cat? I'm not familiar with either dealership. I mean, it's hard to say which dealer's better, right? Because you can go to a cat dealer and there's nothing but apprentices there. Maybe there's a master cat guy that works at Kenworth. If you're comfortable with one or the other, I would say go to the one that has the lower rates. And if you can get a recommendation from someone that's been to one that has a cat guy, of course, Cat's going to have hopefully more info than a Kenworth would, but you never know. Mary, thank you so much. What about running 2 different temperature thermostats? So C7 would have 2 thermostats. One would be like a 190, one would be a 200. I don't know why you'd run 2 different thermostats, because obviously one's going to open at a lower temperature. So if you're having a problem with your engine getting up to temperature, and if you put, it's basically once the one opens, that's going to be your set temperature. And then I guess if it got progressively hot enough, then the second one would open. I don't see an advantage of running 2. I would say just replace both of them with the correct ones. Joshua Huck, Jake brakes or exhaust brakes for 3116. You can't get Jakes on a 3116. I don't believe, at least I've never seen that. That would be some custom-made stuff there. You could get an exhaust brake. Those are very common. Jakes obviously work better, but on the 3100 series engine, C7, 3126, never seen Jakes. They actually made Jakes for C9S, which were the common rail ones, but they weren't true Jakes. They just kind of held the exhaust valves partially open all the time. Weird setup. Eddie, oil out of the blow-by hose, is it normal? Yes and no. I mean, how much oil are you burning between every 10,000 miles? Are you going through a gallon every 10,000 miles and you're getting a couple drips out of the blow-by tube? That would be fine. Is it leaving a puddle on the ground and you're going through 10 gallons of oil every 10,000 miles? That would not be fine. So that's to answer Eddie's question. All engines have blow-by though. So Gustavo, pushing coolant through overfill tube. That's not good. Did the water bottle test and no bubbles while revving to 1500. What can cause this? My coolant level stays the same. Haven't filled it in the 6-inch. It in the 6th. No, I'm not sure. So it's pushing coolant. If it's pushing coolant, it has to be losing coolant if it's constantly pushing it. You did the bottle test. How hot did you get it when you're doing the bottle test? If you got up to 200, 210 degrees and it's not pushing any bubbles out, you might be okay. If it's not losing coolant either, wouldn't be too concerned. Keep an eye on it. Make sure you're not losing coolant though. And a variety of things can cause bubbles in the cooling system, not necessarily a cracked head or blown head gasket or a thin liner or something like that. A bad radiator cap, coolant that's broken down that starts to boil, hot spots in the engine due to corrosion, all sorts of stuff. Mr. Dagather. I just want to say thank you for being the best diesel YouTuber. I don't know if I'm the best, but if I am to you, thank you very much for watching me. How can I delete VSL vehicles speed limits? You have to get into the configuration to change any of your settings, which Cat ET is the best way to do that. Oh my goodness, we got so many questions here. Already 30 minutes, my goodness. I had an injector tip break off, and when replaced it, we couldn't find it anywhere. Truck still runs great, no issues. Where could it have gone? Is that a normal on a 3406E? No, you don't see tips break off very often on those. So if the tip broke off, so you have a very small piece of metal and your engine's driving, you know, so it breaks off, probably, who knows when, but it'll break off. It'll probably go out the exhaust valve because that's where all the fumes are going. It'll probably, depending on how big of a piece it is, hopefully it disintegrates. Larry's here. Hello, Larry. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, by the way. So if the tip broke off, went into the cylinder, it probably went out the exhaust valve, and it probably went through your turbochargers. If it broke apart into little pieces, probably didn't do any damage. If it was a big piece, potentially could have damaged some of the vanes on the exhaust side of the turbochargers. That would be something I would inspect. It's uncommon. I haven't seen that, but that's what I would look for. You're lucky it didn't do any damage, it sounds like. Love this live chat. Well, I'm glad you're here, Larry. Let's see here. How often to change antifreeze? Well, it depends what antifreeze you're running. I recommend Cat ELC. It's the best for anti-cavitation, all sorts of stuff. I forget the interval. I believe it's every, I want to say it's every 6 years. I'd have to look it up in the Cat manual. But the ELC, I would say probably, look at the manual, whatever Cat says, but I think it's 6 years. Probably you should be doing oil sampling, but if you're going to go that long, take a sample every year of the coolant. They're relatively inexpensive. Still good. I'd say probably every 6 years. What do we got? Thanks for the content, Kid Fuzzy. Thanks for watching. Gustavo, how much blow-by is too much? And thank you for answering all the questions. So it's hard to say because you looking at the blow-by tube, you don't know the volume. You just see, oh, there's a couple of drips of oil. There's fumes coming out. There's fumes coming out on a new engine. You have to get a volume measurement of your blow-by. So they actually put a machine that reads like cubic feet per hour. And then basically the rule of thumb is twice your horsepower is maximum. So if you have a 300 horsepower C7 and you've got 400 cubic feet of blow-by at full load, meaning like 100% acceleration and full boost, that's fine. If it 300 horsepower and you're at 800 cubic feet per hour of blow-by, that would be much in excess of twice your horsepower, which generally means your engine is worn out. So there you go. Taylor says, hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Turkey Day to you. I think you have a chicken on your profile picture there, Stephanie. So Lucky Bullet says 6 years. All right. I was good. My old brain still works. What engine have the most common head bolts broken? Broken head bolts. I haven't seen a lot of broken head bolts on Cats. Seen, I think, 2 C13s with broken head bolts. I don't know if I've ever seen a C15 with a broken head bolt. They get seized a lot because people don't lube them right, or the head gasket blows and then it blows a bunch of carbon all over the place. Let's see. Mark. Oh, he's replying to someone. Orlando. Hey, bro. Is there much difference from a Transport 3116 versus a Marine version? Yeah, the Marine versions, usually there's a lot of differences because a lot of times Marine applications have like liquid-cooled exhaust manifolds, different injectors, different camshafts, because Marines usually have unlimited cooling since a lot of them use the water as coolant. So you have like a heat exchanger with coolant to water. So you basically have unlimited cooling, so you can get a lot more horsepower. That's why a lot of people run Marine camshafts and stuff in place of a truck camshaft because you can get more horsepower. So yes, there are generally lots of differences. Any impact from Cat or your dealer from your videos? This is Jay Priller. So Western States. Oh, and if I didn't, let me mention it again. So at 8 o'clock today, Western States, well, they're not giving it away today, but there's going to be a post at 8 o'clock on my channel. Western States is giving away a Carhartt embroidered jacket, custom made, like this one. I know it's hard to see, but it's a beautiful jacket. Read the post on how to win it. There's also 4 other prizes, and good luck to whoever does win it. I have the only other one. So let's see. Tom from Las Vegas, you helped me through my email, fix my 3126. Cool. Glad I could help you. I forget where was I? We got so many questions. All right, I'm going to scroll back up. Oh, any impact from CAT or from your dealer from your videos? So yes, not really CAT, but Western States fully, they don't pay me to make videos, but they support the channel by doing giveaways. I help them by promoting their name. And I'm going to put on a Western States hat right now. Take off the old C block. Go with the CAT, current dealer. Great company to work for, by the way. They're hiring most of their locations. Up to $51 an hour for mechanics. So yes, they love my videos. A lot of them watch them. This is cutting off circulation in my brain. It's so tight. Or my head is getting fatter. Also, I haven't got a haircut recently. Maybe that's why it's so much tighter. There we go. All right, that's 2 ways. So yeah, they support the channel indirectly mostly, but they let me film, which helps out a lot. And they do things like they had that operator challenge that I was able to go to. That was really nice. It was fun. That's mostly the marketing department, but also the local branch here. Like they fully support the channel. Most people watch the video, so it's great. Very reciprocal relationship we have. Very happy working for them. Let's scroll down to some new questions. Relocated, Josh, so you can rebuild my C15 when I need one. I never say exactly where I work. I work for Western States. I live in Idaho. Email me, though, and if you do want me to work on your truck, which I get people from Florida and all over the country to the location I'm at to work on their truck. If you do want me to work on it, email me. We can discuss that. Camshafts that have pitting, what causes this? Dirt, improper overhead set, or something else? So pitting is generally what happens between 2 metal surfaces that are always in contact with each other. If it's, I believe it's dirt most of the time, because especially on like a C15, when you pull the valve cover, you get little flakes of dirt and then they crush into each other. And over time, the hard face just wears off. They just wear out. And pitting is very common. Light pitting, though, is not a reason to replace your camshaft or your rockers right away. I've had people that someone says, oh, you need a new cam set. And they're like, what hasn't changed in a year? You can run a pitted cam. It's when it actually starts wearing in. Obviously, if it's pitted and for some reason you have to remove it and replace it like you're doing a rebuild, it's probably a good idea to replace it at that time. But if it's still fully functional, I'd say you're probably okay to just run it. Piston check, $3. Thank you very much. I like the chicken thumbs up. You know, they don't have hands. Okay, I challenge anyone that watches these helpful videos. I will donate another $20. Hey, thank you very much. Looks like we got a 20, so you're going to pay up there, John. We're going to see Mr. Max Boy, 85, $20. You are amazing. I don't know if I'm amazing, but I appreciate the very kind. What is my email? adeptape@yahoo.com. If you don't remember it, it's in the video description of every single one of my videos. Maybe not some of the older ones, but pretty much every single video. It'll say adeptape@yahoo.com. That's also my PayPal address. Derek, $20. Thank you so much. Hey, Josh, love the channel. 4 years, worked my way to shop foreman, decided to change employers, also on road to off-road. Do you have any tips on proving to the new shop that you are not the incompetent new guy? Well, I've only ever had to change shops once. Don't act like you know everything. I probably seem like I wonder if I come across that way, that I think other people think that I know everything. Like, not that I know everything, but I am a know-it-all. But show people that you're willing to work with others, try to get along with others. The most personality conflicts. I remember my dad said once, he said, people won't remember you for what you tell them. They'll remember for how you made them feel, which is kind of true. He worked in law enforcement too. So let's see. Fix stuff correctly from the get-go. If you have a bunch of rework initially, you're going to get branded as incompetent. So do proper troubleshooting. If you're very good at your job, it's going to be apparent. There's nothing special. You don't have to do a triple backflip, to prove that you know what you're doing. Just ask questions a lot and be willing to learn. Yep. Yeah. Best brand of air filter for semis. Air filters. I don't know if the best brand for an air filter. I mean, Cat does make air filters, but usually like the big ones. We run a lot of Donaldson. I'd say air filters are more keeping clean ones than like super high quality because they're not exposed to a lot of pressure really. So I had an air filter in an RV the other day. It was cold. It was really cold. It was like 10 degrees, but their intake was like on the roof of the RV and it snowed and they'd come down from Canada to me work on it. I pulled the air filter out. It was one of the sideways mounted ones. It was half filled with snow, like, the round. Well, the halfway point was full of snow. I was like, oh, that's great design. Love the info you give us. Help many times. Thank you, Big Belly. Seen you comment a lot in the recent videos. Thanks for that. Let's see. Can you open RPMs more than 2150? Let's say 3000. Well, I don't know what engine you'd be taking up to 3000. Hopefully it's not a 3400 series engine. That would be a lot. You cannot really change the max engine governed speed that much in Cat. That's set by the flash file. So I don't know why you'd want to take it that much higher, because you got to think like 1800 RPM on a 30, like a C15. 1800 RPM is max horsepower. So when you start going over that, you're not making more horsepower. You're way past your horsepower curve as you get like past 2000. So the engine's spinning real fast, but it's dropping off. So it really is no reason to take it higher. I guess if you could make them rev much higher and move them mapping, the fuel mapping and boost and stuff, you have to change a lot though, because they're not meant to run that fast. I guess you could do it if you could get into the ECM and do a custom flash file, but I wouldn't recommend it. John, he man of his word there. $20. Thank you, John. Destruction of the week. We have Friday's video. I don't want to spoil it, but the video itself will be good. But there's 2 different destruction of the weeks in it also. I mean, they're going to be one destruction of the week segment, but it's 2 different engines. Unfortunately, it's only 1 picture each, but they're both pretty good pictures. The video itself, pretty cool too. Hello from Palouse, south of Spokane. Currently servicing the cats in shop. Watching live stream as we speak. Happy Thanksgiving, Josh. Hello, Farmer Steve-O. Palouse, south of Spokane. Never been to Palouse. I don't think so, but been to Spokane. Actually, the Spokane shop, the Cat Western State shop, just closed in Spokane, and they opened in Liberty Lake. I actually have training in Liberty Lake coming up, so I might do a little video of that. It's supposed to be a very new facility. I haven't seen it yet. What is the highest mileage Cat you've come across? Well, it's hard to say because like on a B model, you don't really ever know what the exact mileage is. I've seen, I think, 3 million mile engines, though. They were all 34.6E models, so they were verified 3 million. Cat still has their million miler program. Brian, thank you very much, Brian. $20. Look at that. Just raining $20 bills in here. So yeah, I've seen 3 million mile engines. Cat still has their million miler program. So if you do own a Cat engine and it gets over 1 million, get hold of your local Cat dealership. They can get you set up on the million miler program. It's not like a marketing thing. They will literally take your info, get a download. They will send you a jacket, a nice jacket, a Cat jacket. If it has 2 million, I think you get another jacket and a watch. Maybe it's a jacket and a hat. And then you get a watch at 3 million. Anyway, it's good to know about. No, I don't think many people still know about it. What is the best RPM to run a 34.6 when shifting? Generally, most people run them around 1400 RPM. Now, that depends on your load and mountains and all sorts of stuff, but it seems like 14 to 1500 RPM is where most people like them. Peak torque, which is most efficient, is at 1200 RPM. But as you get below that, the torque and horsepower just drop off. So generally, you want to keep it slightly above your peak torque. That's why people tend to run them 14 to 1500 RPM, I believe. Destruction of the week, like the Artemis blowing the doors off of the towers. I don't know what that is referring to. Was proper RPM or run a C15? Oh, two people asked that. Just answer that. All your videos are great. Thank you. All of them are not great, but exploding turkey of the week. No one sent me a video of that. Do you recommend switch C15 twin turbo to compound turbo? So I always used to call them twin turbos. They're technically called compound turbos because a twin turbo would mean they're the two of the exact same turbos. So they're technically compound because they are different size and they feed each other. I can't say I recommend swapping to a single turbo. The reason is once you swap to a single turbo, you can't really ever get like a full CAT warranty on the engine anymore. So if you want to get a rebuild, CAT can do it. Some dealerships won't touch them anymore. I understand the incentive. Single turbo is much simpler. You can get rid of the pre-cooler and a bunch of stuff. But the compound turbos are very nice. Like they build boost really fast. And they build a lot of boost. And the pre-cooler does help keep the air much cooler going to the intake. So I don't know. Beautiful new store in Liberty Lake. Okay. Well, when I check it out, I might do a video on it. I've talked to them, not them. I talked to the marketing team about doing some sort of video or something, but haven't seen it yet. So what do we got? Got to be excessive to take forever to go up out of cold mode, which could be the problem. Well, technically the C15s don't really have like cold mode. Like a C7 actually has a cold mode status. C15s don't. I mean, the mapping changes as the temperature changes, but get out of cold mode, what could be the problem? What do you mean by it takes forever to get out of cold mode? Like it takes forever to warm up, or like it's 200-degree coolant temperature and it's still in cold mode? I don't know. Hi there, I'm a heavy vehicle mechanic here in Australia. My goodness, what time is it there, Ventura? I envy your CAT training as we work on all types of engines, therefore not gaining really in-depth knowledge, one brain of engine. Well, you got to remember, Ventura, I don't know, I'm assuming that's your name. Yes, I work on CAT engines. I love working on CAT engines, but I don't get to work on a lot of different stuff. Like the DD15 we have in the shop. I wish I knew more about that. I wish I knew more about Cummins and Detroits. And obviously, you can't know everything about everything. Like I know a lot about CAT, but if I knew a little bit less about CAT and a little bit more about other stuff, I'd probably be more well-rounded. But I'm in a very weird niche, and I like where I am. So 3126B, any common issues besides the Huey setup? 3126. Oil pump idler bushing can go out. Normal oil leak, stuff like that. The lifter bushings can fail. No. Thank you for all the info throughout the years. Thank you very much. Thoughts on a C18? C18s are pretty cool. The equipment ones tend to break the liners. At least the newer ones, the liners have been cracking. You have to remember the block's the same on a C15 and C18. So because since the bore's so much bigger, the liner is much thinner on a C18. Tim, $5. Thank you very much. I'm a 99% CAT guy. Not a bad world to be in. Yeah, I like it. Fellow Diesel Tech here. I work for the government on transit coaches now and don't get to see semis anymore. Thanks for putting the content out. Thanks for watching it, Tim. What engines do you mostly work on the transit buses? I know they used to do a lot of 60 series. My father-in-law used to work on tour buses a lot, so I'm going to guess a lot of Cummins, but I don't know. Gustavo, you ask a lot of questions, buddy. One last question from me. What can cause your engine not to go past 1500 on RPM? Is it the ECM program related? It could be. You could have a VSL protection for over 1500 RPM. It's hard to say. Like, it's a hard limit. Like, if you rev it, it just stops at 1500. That's unusual. That's probably most likely a setting in the ECM that needs to be adjusted. John Wood, C15 fuel injector springs breaking. Is it common or am I operating wrong? You're not operating it wrong unless you're overspeeding it. They do break. I mean, you got to figure how many millions of times that injector spring is bouncing around, not bouncing around, but compressing and decompressing millions of times. So they do break. We had a customer, well, that video, the Million Miles, a Million Problems video, he had 2 broken injector springs and he had said, I'd never heard of them breaking before. They do break. What's weird is a lot of times the engine will still operate normally most of the time or all the time. It's hard to say why they break. Higher mileage springs can break. John Goldsmith once, I think this was a couple weeks ago, he said he's actually pulled the springs off on people that can't afford new injectors. And he had a couple core springs and he just replaced the springs for him. I've never done that. I mean, you're putting old components on old components, but he just did what he did. Derek Peterson, thank you very much. $5. Electrical mechanical torque wrenches. Oh my goodness. What a topic. Super secret scroll. Want to work for landfill? No, I don't want to work for a landfill. It's disgusting. So I have always never wanted electronic torque wrenches. And then the Snap-on guy had a pretty good sale on the new 300 foot-pound half-inch drive one. And I had a split beam half-inch for a long time. And I like it, but it's so short. The cat ones, the split beams. So if you're trying to torque to like 200 foot-pounds, it's just very difficult. And the electronic ones, you can do torque angle, and they're much longer. They're almost 50% longer. So I have mechanical and the electronic ones. I like certain things about the electronics. I like you can do torque angle, although I don't trust it completely. I like that it goes to higher torque. I like mostly that it's a longer handle, but it's more of a pain in the butt. I don't like turning it on, turning it off. So anytime, like if I'm just doing a drain plug or something, I'll reach for my mechanical one. And if I'm doing something more in depth, I'll reach for the electronic one. But in general, I'd say if you're starting out, go with a mechanical one. Just tell you. The best mechanic knowledge. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Jan. Neil got 2 Challenger B tractors, C15s. You've saved my butt more than once. Thank you. Those are probably farmer tractors, huh? Do we need to modify ECM to add cruise control or just add the buttons? Oh, Cummins. I have no idea, Joel. Cummins program. I don't do Cummins ECM program. I'm sorry. Raymond, hello. Dad C13 used to crack turbos and exhaust manifold, installed single turbo kit, problem solved. Dad likes to run hard. Yeah, the cracked manifolds and well, not necessarily turbos, but the exhaust manifolds cracking and overheating. Oh my goodness, I went crazy here. There's always been problems on the cats. Fellow Cat Tech, I have a question. Why is EPG so much better than the truck shop? I don't think EPG is better than the truck shop. I used to work power generation, and I switched over to the truck shop, and I liked it a lot more. But I'm not saying EPG is worse. I'm just saying that I like truck engines specifically more than power generation. Hard starting C15 cranks a revolution, then stops, and another, and replace batteries and pulled. I noticed the injector sticks a bit. I really warmed up. That's a super difficult question to get into upstate, but upstate hauling. That's Andy. Is that you, Andy? Upstate hauling? Cranks, replace batteries. I noticed injector sticks a bit. Really warmed up. Any ideas? Email me. That's a hard one to answer here. Hey, man. Live again. Love your videos. I'm going to scroll. Got a C15 and 07 International. I'm sorry, it's International. I think she's getting tired, though. She's starting to puff a little out of the blow-by tube. Yeah, all engines have blow-by. I'd recommend getting it checked. If it's not eating a ton of oil, though, just keep running it for now. What is the biggest cat engine you have ever worked on? Happy Thanksgiving. 3516, probably. Worked on a couple 399s. We had a couple 3520s. They were gas engine, but I never worked on them. I saw a C175, but I never worked on them. You do not spin out so easy. I don't know what he's referring to there. John! Thank you very much, John. $20. My goodness. We're almost at an hour. I'm going to keep going. Let's see here. Joshua, follow up on thoughts on biodiesel. I wonder if the reason for the damage there might be the injectors might be because the glycerin not being completely removed. Yes. I mean, possibly. Hey, upstate it is Andy. I knew it was you. See, my brain still works. Did your freeze plug stop leaking, Andy? If anyone doesn't know, upstate hauling, he had the truck that had the mouse in the coolant. I don't want to laugh, but he has the truck that has the mouse in the coolant. Well, it's not there anymore, but that was his truck, unfortunately for him. But luckily, we did find it. No, just, oh, he sold the truck. That was a no good deal on that one. But let's see. Mackie 7, I don't know what you're talking about. Why the torque to yield? Why the torque to yield? Mary, I don't know what you mean by the why the torque to yield. Don't confuse torque to yield with torque turn also. I have done that for a while, but torque to yield is different than torque turning. Can you run used engine oil in these cat engines? I mean, you can run whatever you want. Like you're pulling oil out of a different engine and putting it in your cat. I don't know why you would do that. Anyway, I can do an interview with you on my channel, sir. I'm in the truck driver owner op area of YouTube, the Hensley Show. I've heard of your channel before. That would be a good email question. I do phone calls. Now, if anyone actually wants to talk to me personally, I do a phone call service, but I charge for it. But if it's going to be a channel collaboration or something, obviously I'm not going to charge for that. But the Hensley Show, please email me at adeptape@yahoo.com. I've done podcasts and stuff before. You know, I wouldn't mind being on another channel. It can only help my views, and hopefully me being on your channel could help your views. So, you know, I don't know if your channel is bigger or smaller than mine, but yeah, I'd be up for that. All right, what do we got? 47 years of cat mechanic, now retired. Oh no, all that knowledge. Grateful let you do them at work. Sent you ideas and hope they help. Yes. Any oil is better than no oil. Yes. That's why there's bypass systems on your oil system. West Australia, no question. Just love your video. Alrighty, Matt. Thank you. Too little cooling by blow tube. I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for your content. Helped me a lot in a rough situation. Thank you for watching it. Why, when tightening head bolts, there's torque to yield? So, okay. So torque to yield is different than torque turn. Let's discuss that for a second. So some bolts, well, a lot of bolts Cat uses, you torque it. Let's say, for example, C13 head bolts. You torque them, I believe, 120 foot-pounds. Then you torque them by a degree turn, which is 120 degrees, or maybe it's 200 foot. I haven't torqued a C13 head in a couple years. Maybe it's been a year and a half. But you torque it to 100 foot-pounds, and then it's 120 degrees. That's a torque turn, not necessarily torque to yield. Torque to yield is where you can measure the length of the fastener, like on some connecting rods. So those, you don't just torque turn, or you don't just turn it 50 degrees. You're actually turning the bolt and measuring as it lengthens, because as you torque a fastener, it stretches slightly. That's torque to yield. That's different. To answer your question, Mary. I don't know if you had a further question on top of that. Love the channel. Hey, thanks for watching. Do you recommend the Love Truck Care Academy? I've never heard of that. So can't say I do or don't recommend it. Hello from West Michigan. Hello, Jason. Love you, buddy. Please say hi to your family. Happy Thanksgiving. Time for my late night snack. Good night, Larry. I wish you the best. Happy Thanksgiving to you. What is the oil change intervals do you recommend for C15 twin turbo? We already mentioned this is no twin turbo C15. They're compound turbo. But Cat's oil change recommendation was actually 30,000 miles. What's mine? About 10,000. 10 to 15 depends on how you run your truck. If you do want to go higher than that, I would definitely recommend oil sampling. Might want to possibly look at some sort of additional filtering, like a bypass system or something. I think 30,000 miles is quite a bit. But I would recommend 10 to 15,000 generally. Thanks for all the content. Always great stuff. I learn a lot from watching and listening to you. How do you do things? Well, thank you. Thanks for watching. What medium duty chassis do you recommend? Probably Freightliner. I don't like the medium duty GMC Fords. At least the ones with the cats in them. The little like FL60 Freightliners and stuff are pretty cool. The smaller Peterbilt ones, like the ones you'd see in service trucks and too, Peterbilts and Kenworths, they're pretty nice. International, I hate International a lot. Just thank you, Josh. You've helped me via email about 2 years ago. Oh, thank you. Terran's channel. Can I put a 6NZ ECM harness on a 5EK? No, you can't, because the 6NZ has a, how do I explain this? So the E models, 34, you can hear my baby crying in the background. Most of the E models are single timing sensors. They have a cam position sensor. A 6NZ is a C15. They're going to have a cam and a crank position sensor. So if you put a 6NZ ECM on, it's going to be looking for a crank position sensor. It's not going to see one. You could swap. Don't do it. It just wouldn't work. Don't do it. Happy Thanksgiving, Josh. Cash from the Empire misses you. Whoever Lucky Bullet. Who is Lucky Bullet? Good to see your channel is growing. Good night from your best parts guy you had. LOL. Best parts guy I had. Lucky Bullet. Interesting. Obviously, I know this person, but I don't know the name by that, though. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for watching. What's your opinion on injector cleaners? I don't have a lot of experience with injector cleaners. Is this the stuff you're talking about? You just pour it in the fuel tank and it does magic stuff. I don't know. I have mixed reviews on them. I think some work. I've heard of the stiction cleaners, which is actually for Huey systems where you put it in the oil that has renewed some injectors. I've known a mechanic that he was very intelligent, not the hardest working, but he said that the stiction stuff actually worked pretty good. Super secret squirrel there. You were using the poopy language, but I'm going to approve your comment here. International equals cat truck. Not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those. Hello from Manitoba. My goodness. I believe that is in the Canada. Coulter Wall fan, are we? What do we got here? Do you have a budget cost for a re-rate on a 3126 at your former Las Vegas shop? A budget cost on a re-rate. Well, 3126s are hard to say a quote for a re-rate. So if you're staying within the family and not having to change any injectors or anything, let's say you're going from like a 275 to a 300 or something like that. I don't know what they currently charge, but what it used to be, and this was a few years ago, is $500 flat fee, and sometimes they charge an hour labor on top of that. But it depends, because when a dealership does a re-rate, I'm not going to say what CAT charges them, but a dealership does a re-rate. CAT charges the dealership for the re-rate. So the dealership has to take that amount and then mark it up. So it's not free to the dealership. I know you're thinking like, $500 or sometimes $750 or $1,000 for a re-rate. Yes, but the dealership's getting charged from CAT for that also. So $500 to $1,000 is probably what you're going to get charged for a re-rate, assuming. Oh, Jason Hayden. Oh, that's funny. Hey, Jason. That's funny you're watching my videos. Look, I got a beard now. Think of that. His beard's epic. It always was, at least. Probably still is. Sorry, my bad. Oh, it's fine. Super. I think it's just because it had a bad word in it. Oh, my goodness. What is Adept Ape? Where did it come from? I answered that somewhere. Can't remember. Okay, so quick Adept Ape thing. Where did it come from? So, make me sound like, I think it was the last live stream. I answered it. Adept Ape. Adeptus Mechanicus is in like the Warhammer 40K series thing. Anyway, it just kind of, I stuck with the Adept, and then I was like, what kind of rhymes with that? Adept Ape. That's where it came from. Derek, $5. Sweet. Just wanted you to know that watching your videos as you were starting out inspired me to go to school for it and get into the industry. Cool. Well, I hope you like your job. I really enjoy my job. It really matters what company you work for, too. Thanks, brother. Really appreciate everything you do for our community. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you very much, Red. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Hello from Australia. I just want to know, for starting apprenticeship in diesel fitting, is it important to find a company that has a wide range of equipment to work on? No, I would say. I mean, if you're starting out, you don't know what you want to work on. I don't like working on equipment, for example. I've worked on equipment, but I don't like it. I like working on engines. Some people hate engines. I know. Can you believe that? Some people like transmissions. Some people like drivetrain. Some guys like doing brakes, clutches, electrical. So probably starting out, it would be a good idea to get a little bit more exposed to a variety of things, because then you'll find out what you are good at and also what you like working on. You might be very good at something, but you don't like working on it. So it wouldn't hurt to get a variety of jobs starting out, see what you like. All in favor to have Adept Ape merch, say aye. So merch. So I recently got a actual graphic designer to redo the Adept Ape emblem. It's like the skull with the wrenches and stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that though, because it's complicated to start selling merchandise. Like if I wanted to sell it, because then you got to do like sales tax and stuff, and I don't sell anything right now, so I don't have to worry about sales tax. Obviously, I still have to pay taxes like everyone else, but if you're selling stuff, it gets more complicated. But maybe there are companies that will make things and sell them for them, and then you get a commission. Maybe I'll look into that, but I have thought about it, but I'm not this minute. Yes, they will sell you whatever tools they have in the book. Oh, yes, merch. Yes, merch. Very cool looking leak by Blow by Tube. Very little cooling leak by Blow. Oh, you're getting a coolant leak by the Blow by Tube. If it's coming out of the Blow by Tube and you have steam coming out of the Blow by Tube, I don't know. That's bad. That means you're getting coolant most likely into your oil, which can be, 10, 15 different things could be causing that. Usually it's a liner seal leak or a water pump weep hole that's bad or cracked head gasket. Coolant out of the blow by tube is very bad. Tom, thank you very much. Thanks for the Budge 5 info. I will be taking it in. I get a discount if I mention you. Okay. I've done 55,000 on oil changes. Wow, that's a lot. Only cat filters on Rotella. Cat filters are excellent. Yes, if you're going to run, especially if you're going to run longer oil change intervals, run good filters. Mark commenting. Gustavo, 32,000 hours on a 6NZ. Too much hours? And is it time for a rebuild? No. I mean, that's a lot of hours, but I never recommend rebuilds based on hours or miles or anything like that. I mean, you have to think if it has over 1 million miles, never been in frame, it's going to need one day, but let that thing make money for you until it really needs it. And the usually my metrics for that are, is it eating coolant? Meaning, like a liner's sinking or you got a cracked head. If it's not, okay, that's good. How much oil is it eating? Are you only using a gallon or two of oil every oil change? Has it got tons of leaks or low power, anything like that? And usually low power is not caused by a worn engine. Usually that's a system problem, like low fuel pressure, low boost caused by a bad turbo wastegate or a CAC leak. Just a lot of hours, but it's still running good. I would say just keep running it. I always recommend oil sampling though, because if you start getting higher metal content, maybe it's time you need new bearings. If you need new bearings, maybe it's a good time to refresh the entire engine. Any cat engine left-handed? Left-handed cat engines. Do you mean like they are turning counterclockwise or clockwise? Is that what you're referring to? Because pretty much every cat engine I'm aware of turns counterclockwise from facing from the rear. Are cat filters and Donaldson filters of equal micron or quality? You can get equal micron ratings of some cat filters, but the quality is not the same. If you ever cut open a Donaldson filter, they are much different than cat filters. Cat filters are the best in my opinion. Will you ever buy a big rig? Probably not. Trucking I'm a worrier, and it seems like a very risk-prone industry. I know you can make good money at it. I prefer to work on the trucks than drive them. I don't drive them. I don't see myself getting a bigger, but who knows? Who knows? What do you think of other engine manufacturers like FPT or Deere? FPT. I've never even heard of FPT. I've heard of John Deere. Every manufacturer does, makes. I don't know. I've never worked on a John Deere other than like the little generator ones. Angry Peanut, thank you very much. Will you ever buy a motorhome? Jason, probably not. Maybe if I were to get one, I would get a very small gas motorhome probably because I don't plan on living in some, Wonder Lodge or something like that. Cool to see a re-rate process and mods required for it. I did a re-rate video actually quite a while ago. Of course, that was early content, so it's not the best edited in quality. I could redo the videos. I don't really want to kind of rehash my older videos, though. I mean, it would be nice to refresh them, but first off, people would stop watching the older videos, and then I would still have to make the newer videos. So I don't know, but I could probably do it with more information. So maybe I should do that. Why do you like working on CAT equipment? Why don't you like working on a CAT equipment? I don't like equipment in general. It's nothing against Caterpillar. Equipment, I just don't like the hydraulics and the valves and all that stuff. I like engines. That's what I like. I don't know. Some guys probably hate engines. Let's see. The worst thing in my life is owning semi-trucks. I got through it all in one piece, but man, that was rough. I'm much happier turning wrenches. Some guys like driving a lot. Some guys don't. So, what's the highest mileage engine you've ever seen? I already discussed that, but I've seen them in excess of 3 million miles. Seen 3 engines in excess of 3 million miles that I know of. Hi, Josh. I have a 34.6E. I replaced the stock turbo with a 78mm non-wastegate aftermarket turbo. Incredible boost now, but it smokes bad to the low boost when you put your foot in it. Any ideas? It shouldn't be smoking unless you've re-rated the engine, because there's something called your... I'm totally drawing a blank currently. But basically, there is a setting in the ECM. And it will not give it more fuel than the boost number. So as long as your boost is climbing, it'll give it more fuel. If your boost stops climbing, it's not going to give it more fuel to prevent black smoke. If you're getting a bunch of black smoke, that means your boost pressure sensor is biased, or you have messed with the ECM and it's giving it more smoke than it should be. Wonder Lodge L3208. We actually had a Wonder Lodge in the shop about 2 months ago, and I had to do the airbags on it, and it was... brought back some memories. I'll say that. Let's see. FLS, full load setting. Oh, it's not the full load setting. It's FLS and FTS, but God, I can't remember what it's called. Let me get another throat lozenge here. Cliff, 3 million miles, no overhauls. No, it had been in frame. I've never seen one go 3 million without an in frame, but there's probably one out there. Cat C13, how many in frames are okay? Don't know. I've never in-framed one that hasn't. I've in-framed them on their second in-frame on a C13. So I don't know if you can't do like 10 of them or something. I don't know how many times those head bolts can be torqued. Mr. Firewood, thank you very much. I like your sunglass, angry looking yellow guy there. Pretty cool. Have you worked on former military vehicles? Yes. I worked on quite a few of them. Even current military ones. I've worked on a few. I've worked on a few Oshkoshes. I've worked on some of those FM LVs, I believe they're called, with the C7s and stuff. We're gonna show 2 times. I've been buying for my Snap-on dealer, so I doubt it could be any more expensive than them. Oh, you're talking someone else. LMTV, the 3126 or 3116. Yeah, there's a lot of those out there. There's people who buy them all the time. Relatively inexpensive. I had a call with a guy. He was looking at getting one. It had a 3126 in it, though, because Cat provided a ton of engines for the military vehicles, too. So, your favorite Cat engine, C13. Got a C12. Working on a C12 today. Got a C12. Smokes white when driving after idle. Wait. Smokes white when driving after idling for about half an hour. Is that normal? So if you're idling your engine for a long time, it's going to smoke a little bit because you get a little bit of wet stacking, unburned fuel in the exhaust. You're not supposed to let it idle for long amounts of time because it can smoke after that. Depends how long. A lot of their stock. Oh, you're still talking about Snap-on. Do you like DBoss Garage? Yes. I actually collabed. If you've seen the 3126 swap, DBoss did. He actually sent me a couple serial numbers. And I think I'm in the first video of that series. And I looked up a few information packets for him on the 2 engines he had access to, and then he picked one and stuck it in there. Thank you. Hey, Josh, how's it going? First time ever seen something on a live chat. Oh, yeah. It was only my second live chat. Well, I did a lot of live streams for the operator challenge, but I didn't like how they turned out because we were doing it in such short stints that not a lot of people could join. And we should have did it differently, I think, but me and the marketing team had never done them before, so it was a fun experience. I think it could be handled better though. Actually, I had a guy who always commented in every video, and he unsubscribed because I was shooting the live streams in like vertical. Well, I wasn't even shooting it. Someone else was shooting the videos for me. And he wanted it in landscape, which is like this full screen mode. And he unsubscribed. He's like, "Oh, well, I told you not to do, portrait mode." I was like, "What? Okay, buddy." Is there any V6 or V8 Caterpillars? Yes. They used to make a 3408, which is a V8. That was before they had the 3406B. Pretty cool engines. SB, $20. Thank you very much, sir. Bro, is your jaw okay? Oh, I have a lozenge. See? My voice is not 100% since like 2 weeks ago. I feel fine. Like I'm not congested, but my voice has been weird. It'll be fine in the morning, and then it just kind of dies after a long day. You can probably hear it starting to sound a little weird here. I'll have to sign off. How long? An hour and 16 minutes. We'll give her a few more minutes. We'll give 15 more minutes. How about that? If you want 15 more minutes, give me a thumbs up. I'll go 15 more minutes because SB said that happy Thanksgiving, send me $20. What would that be? That'd be $80 an hour. 20 because he sent me $20 for 15 minutes. Let's answer some more questions here. I should be keeping eye contact with the camera. Oh, okay. So you want more time with me, huh? What do we got? Are all cats the same bell housing and crankshaft bolt pattern? I want to swap trans. No, they're not the same bell housings. I don't know what you mean by all cats either, because cat makes 30 different model engines. But no, like a C7 can have 2 different bell housings. C15 can have different size bell housings. So you have to be very conscious that they are not the same. And by bolt pattern, if you're talking about the bell housing, those can be different. But the crankshaft flywheel belt bolt pattern, I believe, is the same on all the 3400 series, which would be C15, 3460EE. I would send some money. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how to send. I don't know how the super chat stuff. I'm glad people know how to do it. Like people have been extremely generous in this. But I don't know. I don't know how it works either. Hopefully I get the money. Yeah, that'd be cool. Thank you. Have you rebuilt a brake saver? I did in kind of an in-frame on a truck that had a brake saver, but I did not rebuild the brake saver. That's one thing I wish I knew how to do. I've heard they're not that difficult. I don't like them because the oil pans are a big pain in the butt if it has a brake saver. Anyone's worked on them knows that, because you have all these tubes at the bolt to the oil pan, and the oil pan's humongous. And then the oil pump is like, twice as big and heavy, pain in the butt, but they do work. I'm sure one day I will do a brake saver. Is there a huge difference in fuel burn or engine wear in the higher rated cats versus the lower rated? No. I mean, your amount of fuel you burn is more dependent on the load. If an engine can go up to 600 horsepower and you are only pulling 400 horsepower to pull a hill, it's not necessarily going to burn any more horsepower than an engine that's rated at 475, and it's going, also pulling 400 horsepower to pull a hill. Because remember, your horsepower is work. So, Tony, $2. Thank you very much. Not necessarily. You get into fuel economy, and it's a huge can of worms you can open, because a lot of it, there's a lot to it. So, MBN overheats at high idle when idling, but runs normal when driving. It overheats at high idle. So you're just like with PTO on, it's getting hot. That's weird. Why would it overheat? Is the fan coming on the MBN? Tony, I punched $20 and it's only showing $1.99. I know the comment says 20, but then it says $1.99. I don't know, Tony. Tony, drag the slider to up the dollars. Oh, okay. SB knows how to do it. He sent me, I believe, $20, so knows how to do it. What is your advice for improving during my coming co-op apprentice? Oh, apprenticeship coming up. I don't know. I mean, improving. What are your weaknesses? You have to honestly analyze yourself and ask what your weaknesses are, and then try to improve them there. There's many things you can do also outside of experience, because experience is what improves you as a mechanic. Do you know how to type? If you don't, that's an important skill. You should learn how to type. That will improve your speed in general in life, but also as a mechanic. You do a lot of searching online for stuff and service reports. If you don't, I'd recommend weight training, which sounds kind of stupid, but the stronger you are, the easier things can be, and the more versatile you are as a person. There's things like that. Of course, everything's experience. Be honest with yourself. Don't say stuff you don't know. Don't deal with older guys and treat them like you're better than them. Stuff like that. But if you're smart enough to ask, how can I improve myself? You're probably going to do fine. Tony at work. Look at that. Now I got $22 from Tony. Thank you very much. ET generating reports. That's not a question. Do the technicians have to do general shop keeping, like taking out the trash or washing the floors? Yes, both shops I have been in, we do that. We do dump runs where I'm at now. So I have like a wheel loader come over and we'll dump the trash cans in there. We mop the floors. Stuff like the bathrooms and stuff get cleaned professionally at night by janitors, but the shop itself is cleaned by us. Although our current shop, is not cleaned by us than is cleaned by us. So Tony brings the heat. Yes, he does. Favorite big truck? Probably Peterbilt's. I like Peterbilt. I do like the look of the there's that. Well, it's not really new anymore, but there was and it's an International, but it had like the really cool kind of swept back chrome hood. I forget the name. I can never remember the name. It's like a Pro Star or something. Anyway, they look cool, but I don't like Internationals at all. Tony, watch your videos all the time. I ran my overhead by No Wrenches video and it worked very well. Oh, I'm cool. If you can run an overhead, that is pretty much the hardest technical thing you can do for an engine outside of like cutting counterbores and doing a rack on a 3116. So cool. Lone Star, that's it. Yes. Those look really cool, but would I buy it? No. I'm going to change hats for our final section. We're going to go with the yellow stitch guy. We're going to go 8 more minutes. Clark. Thank you, Clark. Whenever I hear the name Clark, I think of Clark Griswold from Christmas Vacation. Kim, what? Thank you very much, Kim. $10. Very generous, everyone, tonight. Can Jakes be added to a 3116? No, I do not believe that is possible. I've never seen a 3116 with Jakes. You could add an exhaust brake would be your easiest option there. If you had a chance to check out the new e-trucks, like electronic trucks? No, I haven't seen any of them. I'm not sure how e-trucks are going to work out so well, especially on highway, because, a car is one thing. You have a light vehicle. It's not hauling very much. Generally, you're doing a commute, whereas you have a truck, which is extremely heavily loaded. You're usually going very far distances. I don't know. Utopia would be, everyone has a solar power truck and, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff anymore, but I don't see the practicality of it yet. I don't. Yeah, we'll see. Thank you once again. Thank you, Corey. Pete all the way. Yes, dude, this quality is crazy good. The video quality, I hope it is. I got new internet. It's actually less expensive, but it seems much faster. Video upload speed's been way faster too. Nothing as sweet as a long-nosed Pete. I agree. Kenworth, some of Kenworths are pretty nice too. What manometer do you use? I don't have an actual manometer. I have for very low pressure readings, I use I got it at Home Depot actually. I believe it's a natural gas pressure gauge. It only goes up to 15 PSI. W900. My old boss, Nick, who works for Peterson Cat, he'd always say, nothing finer than a W9er. Don't like the throttle pedals in Kenworths very much, though. They seem very touchy to me. What about getting a digital manometer? Haven't needed the use for one. Just thank you for the streams and content. Always enjoy it. Hope to meet you one day. Maybe you will. Yeah, we'll have a new video posting in 2 days, so be sure to check it out. And make sure you check out the post. It's going to be going up in about 30 minutes. So remember, on the post for winning stuff, it's closest first. So, I've had people guess the same things, but whoever guesses it first, and if no one guesses it at all, if no one gets it exactly, it'll be the closest. So when you open your own shop, Western States treats me very well, so I don't think I'll be opening my own shop anytime soon, but maybe one day. Who knows? But I don't have any plans of currently leaving Western States. I like how the Peterbilt clutch pedals are depressed. Seem a lot easier for me. I'm a 3500, 3600, and C175 guy. Those are cool engines. I've worked on a lot of 3500s. I've seen one 3600 and I've seen one C175. I never worked on. What area are you in, Josh? I'd like to bring my truck to you. Corey, you need to email me at adeptape@yahoo.com. I don't say exactly where I work. For an 18 speed and got 3 miles per gallon. Wow. Oh, the fast system. Yeah, there's a guy that emails me, Dr. Fuelenstein. He's out of Las Vegas, but he talks a lot about air in fuel and it being the problem. He has a lot of interesting articles. I've thought about doing a video on the subject. I just never really got super deep into it. So, Jabberwocky 4K. Aren't those the guys that it's like the choreographed dance team or whatever? The Jabberwockies. Or it's a Jabberwocky. Sorry. Thanks, Josh. Thank you. What do we got? We are caught up on our... Oh, no. Opinion on biodiesel as having much lubricity as older sulfur diesel. So, that question, I already talked about biodiesel a little bit, but Dr. Fuelenstein, I might do a video in December discussing his embedded air and fuel. His thing was the sulfur is not a lubricant at all. It's actually air in the fuel. And he wrote a lot of articles and stuff on it. It would be very dry. I'll have to condense it. But the idea is air in the fuel is what causes poor injector performance and fuel pump failures and stuff. It has nothing to do with the sulfur. I'm not saying that. I'm saying his articles say that. I'm not a petroleum scientist. I'm just a diesel mechanic. But what do we got? Could you say your email a little slower, please? It's very simple. adeptape@yahoo.com. It's literally just my channel name with no spaces. If you can't find it, go to any of my videos, go to the video description, and it'll say adeptape@yahoo.com on PayPal if you want to donate, but just adeptape@yahoo.com. That's my email. And I actually answer every email. Not the same day, but if you email me, you will eventually... Usually it takes a couple days to get an answer from me. Do you have good parts fittings that are hard to find? Do I hoard good parts and fittings? Parts, I can't hoard that many parts. I have some sensors and some pressure regulators and stuff. A lot of Deutsch pins and connectors. Fittings, yes, I got a ton of fittings because fittings are super hard to get, it seems like. Thanks for all your content. Great knowledge. Awesome. Thank you. Most mere mortals. I'm not any smarter than most of you guys, probably. Have you ever seen the movie Groundhog Day? Where it's like, how do you know all this? It's like, well, I've just been around forever. I've literally worked on these for how long? Over 12 years now. So if you guys worked on one thing for 12 years, you would also be very knowledgeable on it. Can't believe a guy this smart uses a Yahoo email. I don't know what else to use for an email address. It's a free account. I guess I could get a professional one or something, but I don't know. Let's see. Thank you so much. We are almost at an hour and 30 minutes. If you guys, anyone else I will answer 3 more questions. Unless someone sends me more money, then I'll answer their question. But okay. 1 of 3. What is your opinion on long-term reliability and cost savings of a Toyota hybrid or hybrids in general? Not really my wheelhouse, but hybrids get very good fuel economy. I don't like them in general because very expensive battery and an engine. Since you have both systems, when the battery goes bad, extremely expensive, but you also have the maintenance costs of a normal engine. So I don't know. You'd have to drive it a lot to make up for the extra expense of having a hybrid, I guess. My thoughts would be if you have an electric vehicle and you drive very little, that makes sense. If you drive very long distances, have a very small fuel with good fuel economy, good mile per gallon gas engine. Again, he will answer emails. Yes, thank you. Thanks for everything, Josh. I got a cat display after we talked for my 3126. Will the wire connector be located in my dash wiring harness? If not, we'll be able to find it coming off the ECM. I don't know which connector you're talking about. If you're talking about the 6 or the 9-pin data link connector, it's going to be in the dash. Usually it's by your left knee, kind of above if it has a clutch pedal, that's where it'd be. Someone send him more money, so he's yeah. If you want to keep sending money, I'll stay on here until my voice just blows up. But happy Thanksgiving Day, sir. All right, so we're gonna have one more good question. Let me find one very good question that seems to be extremely related to my knowledge base here. I might have to scroll up a little bit. Hey, Josh, for all the effort and good content. I'm a newbie with my C15. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Yasmini, I think you may have emailed me. That name sounds familiar. That wasn't a question, so that doesn't count. Besides cat engine, which other engine do you like? I hate all of them. Let's see. C15, the fuel pedal is like a variable governor. Sometimes I'm at light throttle and 100% load. Is it possible to make it work like a car? Okay, I'm reading John. Let's see. All right, so Dave, I'll answer Dave's real fast. So he got a rebuild, uses 1 gallon and 6,000 miles. That's a lot after a rebuild. Usually you can still get up to a gallon of consumption. If you're using almost 2 gallons every oil change, that seems like a lot. Ask your dealer for an oil consumption sheet. That should be able to help you there. John, what C15, the fuel pedal is like a variable governor, something that'll light throttle 100%. So your C15 is going to have a throttle position sensor that reads a pulse width modulation signal to the ECM. It is like a car in that way. So your question seemed a little confusing, or maybe it's just not clear, but if it seems weird, like it's revving a lot, or it's like you can floor it and it's not getting a signal, you can have a throttle position sensor problem, or you can have a wiring to the ECM problem. What you can do is if you have Cat ET or someone that has Cat ET, you can see if you floor it, is it showing 100%? Is it not varying very much? That's what you should do with a throttle position sensor. Okay, hey Josh, finally got 3406 to run, but couldn't make it accelerate. What are the pins for the throttle sensor? Kenneth, I don't know the pins. You should email me, sir. Okay. Is Runaway still a concern with today's computer controls? Okay, this will be the last question. Jay Pescas, unless I get a donation. Is Runaway still a concern with today's computer controls? Yes, it is. So one of my more popular videos, why do diesel engines run away? Generally, you can have 2 runaways or overspeeds. The first one is on older mechanical engines, you can get a rack stuck. Technically, it's an overspeed, but it is kind of like a runaway. Basically, the rack sticks, it goes to full fuel. It's getting tons of fuel, so the RPMs are just almost unlimited, and the engine overspeeds and explodes. Runaways can still happen from oil consumption. Of course, you could also have a case where, let's say, an injector tip breaks off and it's just dumping fuel into the engine, but that's unlikely. So if a turbocharger or something gets out of control and it starts dumping raw oil into the intake, oil is combustible. It's a petroleum product. And since these are compression ignition engines, there's no spark plugs to shut off. So if you're getting fuel and you can't shut off the air, it can still overspeed, or not overspeed, it can still run away because you've got air and you've got a fuel, which is your engine oil, getting into the cylinders until it runs out of oil or it explodes. That can cause a overspeed or a runaway because it will literally just keep eating the oil, and you've got 10 gallons of oil on most vehicles. So that can cause a lot of problems. So yes, runaways are still possible on diesel engines. I thank you everyone so much. I hope you all have a great and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming to my live stream. Thank you for all the people that were generously donated. And thank you. We got a lot of good questions, some weird questions, but check out, it's only about 30 minutes from now. The post should go live, and I hope you all have a great evening. Thanks for taking part in this, and have a good night. Thanks for watching.